Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a great weekend, and thank you for joining us once again for our daily English news edition. As usual, I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of the news Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Starting from January 1st, 8 different public services that are currently being offered by the central government will be transferred to the new local municipalities. This decentralization will be reflected in the funding that the new local powers will receive. A report that accompanies the draft of the 2016 budget states the following. These functions will be transferred along with the relevant financial sources, which will have a positive impact on the local budgets in the form of 7.5 billion lek. Although the new municipalities will have greater power than they currently possess, they will still be financially dependent on the government. The 2016 draft budget predicts an additional 31.3 billion lek for the local governments, an increase of 19% compared to this year. The municipality that will receive the most funding is Tirana at 2.5 billion lek, followed by Durrës at 899.5 million lek, Elbasan at 888 million lek, Shkodra at 851 million, and Vlora at 33.8 million lek. The Minister of Finance presented the draft of the 2016 budget today at the Economic Commission. The opposition spoke out against the idea of cutting investments by $60 million, but the minister denied that the budget includes such a cut, saying that it was just an attack by the opposition. Despite what the minister says, the figures do show that the funds for education and investments have been significantly reduced. Minister Tsani said that the goal of the government for next year is to consolidate the fiscal policy and to reduce the public debt to 70.9%, down from the current rate of 72.6%. The former Minister of Finance, Ridvan Bode, also spoke in the meeting, saying that the investments planned for 2016 are the lowest in years, at $60 million less than last year. In addition, the Minister of Finance gave his assurance that there will be no dismissal of employees. According to him, employees will be moved around but not dismissed. The 2016 draft budget includes a reduction of education and infrastructure funding, but the healthcare sector will remain untouched. The government is expected to tighten their policy on expenditures next year, reducing the public investments by $60 million. After the intense rainfall on Saturday and Sunday, some areas in the north of Albania have been flooded. Hundreds of hectares of agricultural land in the villages of Kruje were covered in water after the Ishem River overflowed. Some houses in the nearby village are flooded as well, and a commission has already been set up to calculate the damage. A number of houses and shops in Kruje and Fushkruje were also flooded. Several families have been evacuated from their homes, and 7 bridges are damaged in Burel, isolating at least 1,000 residents. The area around Kukes is currently without power because of the heavy rains, which have now been replaced by snow. A meeting of the emergency staff highlighted the problems of landslides along many of the road segments in Kukes. In today's Security Commission, the Interior Minister Saimir Tahiri gave a report on the measures against terrorism. Today's meeting was held behind closed doors, but the minister did make some statements afterward, saying that there is no place for panic and that the precautions that are being undertaken are not related to any specific terrorist threat. He said, "Albania is not immune to terrorist attacks, but there is no additional risk at this time. Albania is not immune to the threat of terrorism in general, but the data does not give any reason for panic. I would like to ask the media to classify the information correctly and avoid spreading panic. We are cooperating with our partners. There is no more risk here than in any other country," said Tahiri. He went on to say that the additional security measures are being taken for the safety of the Albanian people. Once again, he denied the existence of any specific terrorist threat. When questioned by the journalists about the armed police officers patrolling the streets, he gave the following response. "These are the precautionary measures. Every institution in the country has taken precautions. We have only added some police officers. In other countries, we have seen the army in the streets." The head of the Socialist Movement for Integration, Ilir Meta, made the claim today that his party is under political attack with the aim of soiling its image. Present at the meeting of the National Steering Committee, Mr. Mehta said that the SMI will respond to these efforts with transparency and with determination to fight against corruption. The SMI chairman gave a clear message to every elected official in his party, warning them that punishment is coming if they are involved in corruption. Mr. Mehta said, "There are efforts being made to damage the image of the SMI unfairly and for political reasons. Our response to all those who are concerned about the growth of the socialist movement for integration is maximal transparency in everything we do. We will fight corruption mercilessly, especially if it appears within the SMI ranks. No one will be protected. We will ensure the punishment of everyone involved in corruption, regardless of who they are. We have heard some rumors saying that the SMI members demand money for the party. These are the abuses of some people who ask money for themselves. The SMI does not need to do this," said Mehta. He added that he has requested the assistance of the American Democratic Institute to help create an excellent model of transparency in funding and decision-making. Mr. Mehta also commented on the decriminalization agreement that has been reached between the majority and the opposition. According to him, this agreement is long overdue, and the delay could have been avoided by establishing stronger standards of public representation. The SMI chairman declared that the justice reform and the opening of negotiations are both dependent on the decriminalization. He believes that if there is more cooperation between the parties, the justice reform will be realized. The Constitutional Court has reviewed the Democratic Party request to remove the MP Kokedhima from office. Several months ago, the Council of Mandates denied this request, and the Democrats decided to take the case before the Constitutional Court. The Democrats are accusing the Socialist MP Kokedhima of benefiting from the public funds at least 150 times while he was an MP. Kokedhima himself did not participate in the court session today. He was represented by his lawyer, who denied the claims of the opposition. The lawyer claims that Kokedhima never benefited from public funds while mandated as an MP. The court has not reached a decision yet, but they are expected to make a ruling soon on whether Kokedhima will keep his mandate. Despite the rejection of the opposition and many of the stakeholders, the Law Commission has adopted the bill on properties today with only the votes of the majority. The opposition MPs claim that the bill supports only the government's own interests and not the needs of the people. On the other side, the SMI MP, Petrit Vasili, claims that the bill is extremely important for the economic development of the country. For this reason, he encouraged more cooperation between the parties. "The property issue is not solved yet," he said. "It seems like there is a lack of courage to resolve this issue. The idea of the government is intended to end the property problems. This process needs a final solution and needs cooperation between the parties," said Vasili. Several days ago, the director of the Agency for the Return and Compensation of Property claimed that this law will end the compensation of owners within 10 years. That's the end of our edition for today. Thank you for choosing Aura News as your source for daily updates in English. Have a great night and see you tomorrow.